Okay, Mr. Gentry, we appreciate you being with us today. If you would like to introduce your team and share with us any specifics about your budget, if you are asking for additional funds, please share with us how your additional funds will improve services. If you are not asking for additional funds, just share how you will sustain the level of service you're now providing. And with that, I open the floor to you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd like to apologize, too, for not being here when we were called. I actually had the clerk and master on my television, and I cut the TV off in my office. By the time I walked over here, they were done. I just only hope that it will continue so we can keep people on schedule. So I have no problems with moving that quick also, but I do apologize. To my right is my chief clerk, Alfred DeGraffenried. And this is his second budget hearing, so this is time is moving on. And to my left is Nina Tucker, who is our chief financial officer. And I will not mention how many budget hearings you've helped us process, but enough to be very comfortable with the role that they both play. And speaking of the roles, I'd like to also say that we've got 81 employees that do a wonderful job in our office, and our job is to serve the public. We keep the records, and we make sure that the records are kept properly, but we do so much more. And the people that we have understand that we are there to serve the public, and they just do a wonderful job, and I'm very happy to be a part of our team. You had asked about any added revenue, and we did request some positions in our office. And this year we're requesting 3 full-time positions, and I look over to Alvin DeGraffenried because he keeps up with all these things. But 2 of the positions are for, I guess the general term would be collections staff, but I want to change that to account management, because the people that will be serving by these 2 people are people who are not in collections, but people who do owe the courts, and we're going to work a lot harder for the first time in decades to move them along with the costs that they have incurred, rather than waiting till they get into collection status and then try to collect from many people who can't afford to pay in the first place. Also, we have one other position, which is a cashier position, and we also receive, not only do we bill the customers, but we also receive the monies from those customers. And for us now to start this account management effort, there needs to be a cashier that is a person that only works with the collection or revenue efforts, and so that position is always also there. And you might have other questions, and we'll answer it. We can go a lot deeper into that, but it is something that I will stay on for just a second. The criminal court office in the past has been more past due focused. In other words, we send a letter out, a notice out to persons who have come to court within 48 hours of the time that they stand before a judge or have whatever hearing they're going to have. And that's when the process starts. And then out of our office, the next touch they get from us is a few months later, another letter, and then another letter. And I think all of us are aware that now we have laws in place that after a certain period of time, 12 months, if you have not paid your court costs, you run the risk of having your license revoked. And so what we are doing now is we're putting a system in place so not only will that person have an opportunity for us to be more proactive during that 12-month period, but also they did not know when they were standing before the judge how much they owed. So they get to walk out of the court knowing that they owe, some of them not, but not knowing how much. Well, we have a, GIS has worked with us, and we almost have it in place. It's being tested, a method of being able to provide that person with the amount they owe on the spot, and then start working that account from the beginning. And not only does that provide more revenue into our office, this is not a revenue effort. This is servicing our constituents. We are providing them with an opportunity to get this burden off of them in any way that a credit card company or hospital or any merchant organization would do, so that they can move on with their lives and not get caught up in the aftermath of failure to pay. So we are wanting to do this, and we have asked, and if we do, I'll tell you, there'll be one guarantee, and that is, nationally, it is said that if you do not make contact with persons who owe the courts within the first 30 days, that you only have a 50% chance of ever collecting. So just based on that alone, if we make contact on the day they come into court and are able to ride with them through that period, can you imagine what that's going to do, not only as it relates to resources and revenue, but also for the clients that we serve? You probably need.
You want to open the floor for questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if you all are okay, let me just open it up
Okay.
for questions.
All right, so the floor is open. Councilmember Hurt?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Gentry and your staff for being here. I first want to say that I really, really appreciate the work that you all have done in expungement and how you've helped so many people, because it's been such a vicious cycle without them being able to get back to work because they got to pay child support because they owe for this. And with you being able to expunge a lot of those issues for them, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that this will give them an opportunity to then start, they can work or continue to work, and they can then start paying because they find out that they owe less than what they thought they owed with a lot of the fees that you've had waived for them. Is that correct?
Well, it does definitely helps in that way and many other ways. Expungements are right. It is a right of every citizen to be able to have their record expunged if it qualifies, and we are becoming more aggressive about that. And when I first came into office, we were just under 10,000 expungements. We're up around 30,000 expungements a year now. So it does provide that person or those persons an opportunity to move on with their lives, and also to be in a better position to be a productive citizen in the community.
So while that may not draw much revenue, I mean, I know it's going to get better, but it also probably saves money too on the end, that you'll now be able to use that money towards some positive things and not the negative things of having to take out so many expungements because of the duplication of felonies and all of that. Is that correct?
Well, we hope that as we push up the expungement effort, that we'll eventually get to a point where the expungements do kind of balance out, and now we have a law, or I guess an agreement with the Supreme Court now, state Supreme Court, where a judge can actually deal with expungements in certain categories right there in front of the judge's stand. So at some point, we hope that that the expungements will get to a point where they're not as many.
Debilitating, and I think it's wonderful, and I've seen.
We got to catch up.
I think I've seen how it has worked. I mean, and these people are able to get jobs and give back to society, and I think that's what we all want. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Shulman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Clerk, just a quick question. So on the collections cashier, on the staff increase, Is anybody doing that? Is this an increase in somebody helping with that, or is somebody doing that now, or is this something kind of new that we're
Yes,
doing?
we have 3 cashiers right now. 2 are put in place to handle the general public, and we have 1 that deals with our collections. And as we ramp this program up, because over the 3 years, and I know you don't want to talk about the next 2 years, but we hope to have 4 in that position. None of the cashiers that we have currently doing that job will be able to handle any of this new revenue or increased in-house revenue as a result of our collection efforts in-house.
Okay,
Yes.
so you got 2 now, and
We got
this will
2
be the
now.
3rd one.
It's
Is that
two, 1, 1. 2 this year, 1 next, 1 next.
Got it.
And then 1 cashier to handle all 4, but we got to get the cashier in place on the first 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Seeing no one else in the queue, we have completed this hearing, and we appreciate you being with us. We're done.
Thank you.